everyone. I pray today you have a good heart. We have a long question, which I'll read out all of it, as it's probably indicative of how many people practice or think. I did wonder during the session this evening, you said that we are to recognize that we are the self, that we always have been. But who is to recognize that I am the self? The self couldn't forget itself. It just is. How could it, I guess? I can get a sense of how obvious it is, but I can't seem to stay here for some reason. Nothing is stopping me from doing so. It's a choice. My mind says the mind needs to recognize that I am in fact the self. Does the self recognize itself? That doesn't seem right either. Does the person need to recognize that they don't exist? But then that can't be right, as that implies that I am the person just now, and then the person disappears upon recognition. Thank goodness it is in God's hands. What an incredible riddle. It's tantalizing, but it feels as though I should drop the whole thing. Grasping can pop in the back door quite easily when contemplating this, but I didn't want to deny this question either. Falling in love with being sounds like a lovely alternative. Is this all just games to let the mind realize its own futility in realizing the self? Hence we surrender and give ourselves to God. Although that's just another concept. I think I'll stop for now. That's right. They're all just concepts pointing to the space that we can't grasp onto as a thing to hold and maintain. There's never a moment when you're not the self. So the idea of maintaining it is absurd. But we can see that we actually maintain the idea of a person, and the person comes into play and goes out of play, while the self always remains. But it seems, and this is the illusion, that we find the self and we try and maintain that space and we fall out of it, and it seems like we are always the person. So that's that shift round from the illusion to what actually is. So we ask these questions in a soft, gentle, beautiful way. And in a way to surprise the mind. In the practices we do, there's a moment where we can shout, stop. And that gives a moment where the mind stops and we're just resting in what is. We can't grasp onto that space. We recognize it. So that's the principle of just suddenly remembering you are that, rather than a forceful directing the mind of trying to maintain it, because we know when we do that it slips out our grasp. So whatever method, whether it's a sudden stop or it's a koan, how can the mind recognize itself? As soon as we enter the space that these point at, we let go of those contemplations and we rest in it. We say the analogy perhaps that we like falling back into bed, falling asleep, having a bath, just resting, relaxing into the space. That feel. So one analogy I just want to give for the tone in which we practice is that of a lover. When we meet someone and we feel a connection, unless we're a very gross person, we don't just walk up to them and go, "Will you sleep with me?" That's unnatural. We know that there's a feeling there. We naturally let ourselves flow with it. And we allow love to happen to us. We enjoy that process. So in a way, we're approaching the isness, God, as a lover. We're not trying to run after it to get it. We allow those moments to happen, and we celebrate the beauty of it. So that's the approach that's more conducive to allowing those glimpses to remain. So we're enjoying the time we have with our lover and appreciating that time. And then our lover leaves us, and then we have that sense of remembering the joy and a yearning again to come back. But we know our lover is going to come back, so we don't need to grasp at that. So it's almost like an accumulation of glimpses. Yeah, so when we have the glimpse, we just rest in it. And when we rest in it, we recognize we're always that. We're always that. And it's so simple. And then we get caught up again in distractions. And rather than grasping at trying to get back to it, we rest. We relax. We approach it as we approach a lover. And relax and I am the self. I am the self. And then if we get caught up in distraction again, we might practice the stop exercise. Come back, look at the sky. There it is again. I am the self. So easy, so simple. Just I am the self. May you be happy. May you be blessed. I hope this helps in some way.